Oxnelia's faith-based association is a place where spiritual evolution grows through abiding to natural law as opposed to man-made, corrupt governance. Here, you will be given the tools to build the new earth through sovereign law, Vedic principles and practices, an extensive library including radiation and chemtrail mitigation, Vedic astrology, and vibrationally harmonic music tuned at 432 Hertz. If you are ready to harness your abilities to effect change on this earth, visit oxnelia.org today.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Dot Connector. I can assure you this top is red. I've not joined Just Stop Oil, but it certainly looks orange on camera. Dad, good to be back in studio. How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. Well, as well as I can be in a madhouse and a lunatic asylum.
Well, yeah, and you've been kept busy with interviews this last few days, haven't you, as the book release gets closer?
Yeah, it's out. Basically, it's out now. The official date is September the 1st, but if people order it now, they'll get it now. You know, and it's not just the book, it's in a paper book, it's also an audio book and an ebook for people around the world who may struggle to get it in the post. You know, you can download it.
Yeah, and it's certainly in depth. I ran 50 kilometers a couple of weeks ago and got through 3 chapters of the audio book. So it certainly goes in depth.
It's one of my smaller ones, mate.
This is true. Right, so we're going to dive into a story to start with, which is something you've written about for a long time, being the plan of this cult to take humanity to a point that it's more transhumanist and it has technology in the brains. And this story here is scientists control minds using switches in the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah, well, it's not the first time it's ever happened.
First time we're being told.
It's the first time that they're claiming it's happened. Right. Because one of the points I've been making over the years is if you can see it in the public arena in terms of technological development, then it's light years behind what they're actually capable of doing in the underground bases and the secret projects. Yeah, I was interested in this story because it fits in perfectly with what I've been saying all these years, all these decades about the plan for a hive mind. And, you know, since the 1990s, I've been calling the human body a biological computer. Now, these people in the shadows, they know it's a biological computer and they treat it as a biological computer. And it's a much more advanced computer, if you like, than you know, the desktop, obviously. It's fantastically more advanced, but the principle remains the same.
Yeah.
And so when you look at people like Elon Musk and Neuralink, what's happening? It's the same with his rockets with SpaceX. It's a fake cutting edge. It's presented as the cutting edge of a certain technology, like the cutting edge of connecting the brain to artificial intelligence and computers. Is to take a piece of the skull out and put wires in the brain, you know. Well, sorry, that's the Stone Age, Mr. Musk, as I'll come to. And then you've got these rockets going up. Oh, it's the cutting edge of space technology. When, I mean, we've covered this and Richard has covered this in Classified many times. There is technology outside of the public knowledge that is like Star Trek. Yeah. Compared with Musk's rockets. So if you give people a fake cutting edge or perception of it, of technological development, then you can be manipulating them with far more advanced stuff, but they think this is the cutting edge, so you can't be doing that. Yeah. So if we then break this down, this hive mind, it's about 2 things. First of all, it's creating a technologically generated electromagnetic field, which they're calling the cloud. And you do this by 5G towers in urban areas and increasingly other areas, 6G, 7G to come. And you crucially do it with low orbit satellites. Tens of thousands have now been given permission to go up there, and the front man or the front company that's doing it is SpaceX and Elon Musk. Yep. Here we go again. Are you listening, alternative media? And so the other element is you've got the cloud, the electromagnetic field, ultimately encompassing the Earth, through which you can send frequencies, you can send information in the form of frequency. What you then need is something to receive that frequency and impact upon the human mind as a result. And this is the crucial reason for the COVID fake vaccine. As we've seen so many times now, although you won't see this in the mainstream, looking through very powerful microscopes, you can see nanotechnology in the jabbed and in the non-jabbed as well, because there are other sources for this as well, not just the fake vaccines, but they are the prime one. And it's self-replicating and building structures, technological structures in the body. And a fundamental part of that content of the fake vaccine vial is something called graphene oxide. Yeah. Now, graphene oxide is a superconductor of electricity. And so now you think, okay, well, if that gets in the brain, it's going to mess with the electrical means through which we process information. The brain is communicating with the body and the cells and vice versa through electrical means. So if you can impact upon that, you're going to change everything, both physically, as we perceive physical, and psychologically. And the other thing about graphene oxide is it is an amplifier of electromagnetic fields in the body. So if you are in contact with an electromagnetic field, i.e. the cloud, then the impact of that upon the body and the brain is amplified by the graphene oxide. That's why it's there. And when you see and you get deep into this, and I've gone into this in great detail over the years, the body, because it's a biological computer, it's switchable, it's changeable through external influence. And that's where this story you mentioned comes in. And again, let me emphasize, this is not the cutting edge. Yep. It's what we're being allowed to see in the public arena. Scientists control minds using switches in the brain in world first. Scientists have been able to conduct, quote, mind control remotely in an incredible world first experiment. Mind control might seem like something out of science fiction, with possibly the closest thing we can get to consciously controlling our own minds without technology being lucid dreaming. At the change of the magnetic field, mice were able to be told to feed, socialize with others, and act with maternal instincts as researchers targeted areas of the brain associated with these actions. Do you know, a long time ago, Jay, one of the earlier books in the 1990s, I was talking about all this then, and I mentioned a Russian experiment where they were in this kind of stately home kind of location. And there were gardeners just doing the gardens, right? And what they did is they fired this energy weapon, this basically a frequency, carrying information at these gardeners. And of course, the gardeners had no idea what was going on. And the information was, put your tools down, go into the house for a cup of tea. Words to that effect. When they fired this stuff at them, frequency information, which the brain then decodes into what you think is your own thoughts, they put the tools down and went in and had a brew.
So based on that, you're saying that you think they can influence the brain already? but having this technology will just make them more control.
Yeah.
They can do it already.
They can do it already, but what I'm talking about, Jay, is mass hive mind control, which is through creating this electromagnetic cloud, ultimately to hit every inch of the planet. And then to put through that medium information, instruction, thought patterns, which the body would then receive via this nanotechnology. And people will then think, feel emotion, and therefore act in ways that related to what they were being told. And so this is the hive mind. How long have I been warning this hive mind was being planned? So researchers from the Institute of Basic Science and Yonsei University in South Korea have engineered mice that have nanoparticle activated switches, electromagnetic fields, to remotely activate circuits of the brain. And this is what is developing now, where the more this cloud expands, thank you, Mr. Musk, and the more this communication takes place and the receiver transmission in the body, particularly the receiver, starts to again expand and expand, as it is self-replicating, then the idea is to turn human beings into basically computer terminals on the cult internet. Yeah. And I saw this clip, which we're just going to see. It's by it's a scientist who lives in Geneva called Astrid Stuckelberger, and I've spoken with her because I was approached by La Quinta Columna, the research team, looking really seriously looking and revelatory in its findings about the COVID fake vaccine, which they were kind of finding the same thing I'm talking about. And we did a Zoom call at their request, and Astrid was there, and she was talking about her experiences working for the World Health Organization. She's worked for many of these operations and seen from the inside that actually this, quote, conspiracy is actually true. So in this clip, she's talking about biocoding, which is coding the biological computer to do what you want it to.
Yep.
So we know that biocoding exists since 50 years, but it's become very sophisticated now. And they can send this biocode to the oxide graphene. It's a terahertz. It can stock, you probably know that. It can load the data up to terahertz, and it can send it. And so it is like a computer. Bill Gates is perfectly suited, with his engineers to develop this with DARPA. So we know that this can take control of the mind and of the body. And I invite everybody who has not seen this fantastic video of Dr. Charles Morgan of DARPA, and he's teaching on YouTube the military how oxide graphene can take command of someone on the other side of Earth through Wi-Fi.
Okay, so she's talking there about a presentation by this guy, Dr. Charles Morgan. This is in 2018. So let's see what she was talking about here, or part of it. Morgan was connected to the CIA and DARPA, the technological development arm of the Pentagon.
Very sinister organization.
And what he's doing in this clip, in fact, it's a long presentation. You can see it on the internet if you want to find it. He's telling a military gathering how it's possible to wipe the memory of someone. So you basically go to year zero, where they have no memory of the past. You can insert memories, he points out, that didn't happen, and you can transfer memories from one person to another. Apparently, sleep is a big a time that where this becomes very possible. And they can target specific people, individuals, or en masse, and they can target specific races. So here's an example of what he was describing as possible. And this happened in 2018.
But the French have published a very interesting paper, and it is this. While people were sleeping, they were able to train them and sample their knowledge in what they trained them in while they were asleep and while they were later awake and didn't know that they'd learned the information. So I'll say it again. In people who were asleep, they were able to tell what people knew around word recognition lists without ever waking the person up. They were also able to train new memory and information outside the person's awareness while they were asleep. Where that technology can go is some very interesting places. It would really raise, since I was in the lane of DS&T and we talked about deception and everybody was arguing about how to interrogate people, it raises an immediate question about whether or not you can sample information in people's brains outside of their awareness. The problem with a CAT scan and a PET scan and any technology is you have to have a willing subject. They do need to sit still. If people are asleep and you can begin to sample what their brain recognizes, it offers a number of opportunities at looking at guilty knowledge, brain recognition waveforms, and sampling some kinds of information. I don't know how soon it would be when you can link someone's brain to somebody else's while they're asleep, but I would imagine that that can't be far off. I'd probably ballpark it and say probably 5 years. If they have to do the brain implants, we'll know sooner, because I can't see any other reason why DARPA got approval for 500 deep brain implants. I think the next step is going to be a Hive brain. It's already been done in rats. You can link multiple brains, and as a Hive, they solve problems much faster than the individual rat. So that technology's here. I'm assuming they'll link people who've given permission to link their brains to have a productive life, live in virtual reality, move robotic things. They can probably problem solve. So I think in the next few years, that's what we'll see, is brain-to-brain linking for problem solving, to see if it makes it more efficient.
What's very interesting there is the particular part, which when I read this morning, the gene editing technology that says they can engineer a unique thing to kill one person. You've just described the last James Bond film. That was the exact plot, was that this crazy guy had developed, the same guy that played Freddie Mercury, actually, in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, really?
He's the villain, yeah. And it's incredible to see him play the role, and he does play it very well. They're creating a place in this island in this South China Sea where they make these particular types of gene therapy that can target one individual.
Yeah, well, you see, what they do a lot is they put out things that appear to be sci-fi.
Yeah, it's like preemptive.
Yeah, because they already exist. This is what I was saying about anything in the public arena is nowhere near the cutting edge. So they can put things out which seem far out and extreme in movies, like, the various movies, this dystopian movies that they're constantly putting out. But actually, what they're describing, while it's not in the public arena yet, it does exist, right? So you look at so many things, even in things like Star Trek, and you'll see technology that is now basically commonplace. Mm-hmm. And so what Morgan was talking about there, again, he mentioned the term, was the hive mind. And he's talking about it from a point of view, if you get lots of minds connected, they have the greater capacity for perception and thought. But that's not what it's about. It's about connecting minds to the cloud and then telling the minds en masse what they think. That's what it's about. And interestingly, if you think about it, there's people who are being born, they're operating within this cult and they're pushing this agenda on, and then they die. And then other people come in and they push it on a bit more, and then they die.
Yeah.
So there's all these people the one generation of the cult operatives in the public arena is now going, and Kissinger and David Rockefeller, all these people, absolutely right.
Jacob Rothschilds,
they're starting to go, and the others are coming in. But this is the point. Why did they do it then? What do they get out of it when they're not going to see it come to fruition? Simple, because they are coming into this reality from another dimension. They're playing their part, and they're going back to that dimension, and they may even come back in again and push it on in another body, in another form. The point is, though, there is a force that spans this entire period that this manipulation has been going on, and it's been coordinating it. So who is it? What is it? Well, it can't be human or, hybrid human, because it's coming in and going out. So it must be happening in another dimension, which it absolutely is. And this is where, is it too much of a stretch, really, to think that this fundamental, what I'm describing here with the hive mind is a fundamental anti-human agenda would be orchestrated by a non-human force. I do think so. And if we go back to Astrid Stockelberger, the scientist, she talks in this interview about something, of course, I've been going on about for so long, the non-human manipulation of human society. And she's talking in this interview about CERN.
Yep.
CERN, of course, just outside Geneva and across the French-Swiss border, where they have this Large Hadron Collider, which is basically going into the lowest forms of matter and the quantum realm, and smashing particles together. And what they're doing is they're messing with reality. They won't tell you exactly why they're doing it, but we'll get some idea here in this clip. But what she's saying is that she met scientists from CERN, because she operates in that kind of area in Geneva. And they told her that what they were doing was bringing entities from other dimensions into this one and back again. So let's see what she said about CERN.
But it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians. I know some. They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes. And they were saying, I met them at a dinner, and there were two of them. And both said that, yes, they have, secondhand proof that the people who they're dealing with the boson of Higgs and the subatomic things. So they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions. We know the time, space, the tridimensional X, Y, Z in a graphic. But then you have more dimensions, and they are playing with that. They're using that, and we're a group, and they had a being. They did not tell me more, who came that doesn't resemble a human. And then they had another one, and they have a proof because they left a scarf. They left a scarf. And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies, intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time. I'm just saying that because as a scientist, you cannot not say something so important. Because if you can deal with the smallest energies on Earth, you can imagine that you can go through other realms of dimensions,
Well, it was clear that CERN was very important because of that opening ceremony, which featured so many world leaders, really demonic. It was very, very strange. People that had no relevance being there. It was clear that there was something very important about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive, I've written about this in the books, CERN. It's a massive center for interdimensional connection, bringing entities in.
It's a gateway, basically.
Yeah, it's a gateway. They're creating a gateway. Yeah, absolutely they are. And unless people grasp the fact that this non-human force operating in the hidden, which is almost everything to us, humans, we see virtually nothing, unless they grasp that that's where it's coming from, ultimately beyond that, but certainly that level is how it interacts with us. And that's what's actually coordinating all this. And that's why the agenda that's unfolding is so unbelievably anti-human. Whether it's targeting food, whether it's targeting the state of the water we drink, whether it's targeting the atmosphere, whether it's creating this electromagnetic cloud with all the effects that happens on an electromagnetic entity, which is what humans are on one level. It doesn't matter where you look, they're targeting all these areas of what it means to be human. And that's because it's a non-human force behind it.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's turning the atmosphere, certainly when you talk about the technology, it's making it more and more difficult for human beings to live within the atmosphere. If we're at like 5G now, we're already seeing the effects of that on the body with increasing cancers, hypersensitivity and so on. By the time you get to 6G, 7G, 8G, the potential impact on health of humanity is absolutely staggering. And it's interesting that so many people that would have supported Trump and others who talk about medical freedom and the freedom to choose, nobody made a decision to have all those satellites there. Nobody made the decision to have all those poles in the street and so on. You can't escape it, even if you want to, unless you literally go and live in the woods. And even then, the satellites are there. So
yeah, well, this is what the plan is. You know, I see people like Elon Musk saying that AI taking over is inevitable. So therefore, we need to be connected to AI to compete. But like you just said, crucial to this happening are low orbit satellites. And the Federal Communications Commission in America, which is a cult-owned operation, has given permission for SpaceX, Musk, and others to put up these low-orbit satellites. What if it made the decision not to? And I'll tell you something else I find interesting, is these satellites are beaming this stuff not over America only, but all over the world, increasingly so the more satellites they put up. Where's all the kickback from all the world governments saying, what are you doing? You can't just give permission for that from America. What about us? They're not. No. One or two here, one or two lone voices, but generally governments are just, not even talking about it. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's a cult agenda. And the cult works through these governments, and therefore they don't kick off as you would expect them to. It's the level of and depth that this goes is way beyond the current capacity of what I call the hijacked alternative media to see it. Maybe because they don't want to see it for whatever reason, but to focus attention only on politics when all this is going on. Is to get people to look over there while it's happening over here, the magician's trickery technique.
Yeah, and I think what's really important, I think we're at like a crossroads now where a lot of people are starting to rebel against the online social media world and realizing that the best things in life happen outside of those. And then obviously you've got the group that are so ingrained in it. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that the whole social media element to this, that was almost like getting people addicted to the internet. That's what it was there to do. It was there to be the cocaine, the dopamine hits. So then when these increasing technologies roll out, people don't push back against them. Whereas if they didn't have that addiction and the internet was just like a toy, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
then weigh that against the potential health risks, people are going to push back. Whereas instead, so many are addicted to the internet, they can't imagine life without it. That they're, oh, well, yeah, whatever. 40, 30.
Well, if we go back to that story we were talking about, what is coming off the social media platforms in terms of frequency? What's coming off the internet in general? That is affecting you and the way the brain processes information. I mean, hello, 100%. The body is a biological computer that's affected by frequency electromagnetic stimulus, and thus what's coming off the smartphones that make people so unbelievably addicted to them. And going on what you just said about using social media to pull people in and stop them questioning things that they normally would have done. What about Elon Musk and his purchase of Twitter? First of all, why would the deep state that clearly owned Twitter and dictated to Twitter in terms of what was seen and what wasn't, why would they sell it to a free speech absolutist for a start? But the point about the alternative media, the hijacked level of it anyway, is that some of them were calling out Musk. As people like me have been doing it for a long, long time, well before Twitter, for being a vehicle for this transhumanist agenda. And then as soon as he bought Twitter X and let a few people back on, that's all forgotten. He's now a hero.
Yep, absolutely.
He's a hero when he's fundamentally playing his part in what we're talking about here. I mean, it's extraordinary, the cognitive dissonance that's necessary not to see it. And when I call it out, as I do regularly, because someone's got to, you get just a load of abuse back when actually you're pointing out that people are being scammed by these people.
Yeah, it kind of ties into the whole topic I talked about last week in the show, which was black and white thinking. You have to pick a side. You can't just look and go, okay, you're back on Twitter, great, thanks for that. But all this you're doing, that needs a lot of investigation. It's black or white. It's good guy, bad guy, no shade.
Yeah, and the shade of grey here is if you believe in freedom, Mr. Musk, and you believe in freedom of speech and all that, first of all, why are you shadow banning people like me? And why are you saying people can say what they like, but then if you don't agree with it or it's lawful but awful, then no one's going to see it. Okay, but why, if you believe in freedom, as you keep telling us, are you involved in all these companies that are fundamental to creating this hive mind?
Yeah, that's a question that needs to be asked, and it's a very easy one to ask because he's not hiding it. The fact that he's involved in all these companies, it's not like he's in there under pseudonyms or whatever. You can literally just look and go, all these things you're doing completely counteract with that, and ask a question, but people don't, unfortunately. But I think, that day is coming more and more. When you post stuff now, there's a lot more questions being asked than there were 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. More and more people are starting to question Musk, and more and more people, I think, are starting to question Trump a little bit because he's really in bed, Trump, now with the AI mafia that are seeking to impose this hive mind.
100%. Even Zuckerberg's come out this week, hasn't he, and said he shouldn't have censored COVID content on Biden's request. He'll probably come out and endorse Trump at some point before the election. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, that's hilarious, you see, because what's happening, and we're going to get into this, I think, as we go along, history is being rewritten on a monumental scale now, where people who said things and did things, they're just rolling them back now. Does anyone think that Zuckerberg wouldn't do the same if they declared another pandemic? Of course he would. And, he's coming out because the emphasis is, because we're coming up to an election, that Biden got together with the social media giants and censored information about Hunter Biden's laptop and COVID and stuff like that. Well, hold on a second, Mr. Zuckerberg, man. I was banned from all social media and YouTube, etc. in April 2020 when I called out the COVID hoax. Now, who was president then? Well, of course, it was Donald Trump. And the other thing is that it happened all over the world. So, you talk about Biden did it in America. And that's one of the things about the alternative media, as it's currently become, is it's so America-centric. Yeah, it's all about America. Ladies and gentlemen, it ain't. It's about the world. It's about humanity as a whole. And Zuckerberg coming out was just and saying, oh, no, Biden, I regret it, Biden. That was timed on purpose, of course, to be happening now.
Yeah, and we can dive into that more as we go through. If you're watching with us on davidicke.com or X, that's it for the free version. The rest of the show, we're going to talk about the Trump and RFK interesting bromance. We're going to look at Starmer's speech and much more. We'll see you over there.
In the last 35 years has been surreal.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine. You have invited me, and you stand there and say, we're not having you on.
Let's talk about, first of all, why Jewish groups are calling you anti-Semitic.
You're the most mocked at, laughed at.
I've been saying all these 35 years that we are all one consciousness, all expressions of one infinite state of awareness. And that, therefore, all the human divisions and fault lines of race, of political persuasion, of culture, of religion, are all illusions to divide us and to perceptually enslave us. And you know what they call me for saying that? A racist. He's anti-Semitic. What's the truth? The reveal, out on September the 1st.